I think it is time for us to welcome in our guest because we are excited to have Heather Dinich on the program, as we do always, the judge, the decider of all things that are college football, right?
That's what I was going to say. Like, all of this is relatively great. It's great conversation, but frivolous because you have all the answers that we have.
Right,
we have questions
Enough
too.
of us, right?
All right, well, let's move on. We'll bring you on the two lost team conversations. When we're talking about, a Texas, an Oklahoma, a Notre Dame. Notre Dame at the top, ahead of those two teams at number 10. What does it tell you about how the committee views these two lost teams heading into the second week of rankings?
Well, I think the fact that Texas Tech jumped as high as it did and BYU fell below those two lost teams says as much as the result about that game as it does those two lost teams. Because BYU dropped to 12, Texas is now safe. There's your two-loss team that's the most interesting of the whole batch you mentioned because for two reasons. One, they're in that 10 spot, which is the safest place to be. But two, because no team in the country has a better chance to impress the selection committee. It starts on Saturday against Georgia, then they have the Aggies, right? Two top 5 opportunities. The 10 spot might be fleeting because of that reason. It's a double-edged sword, right? Notre Dame has no margin for error against Pitt. A lot of things can still happen here, but I think that pecking order stayed the same because of the head-to-head with Texas over Oklahoma, but they got boosted by default because BYU dropped. That's the reality of that situation.
Which one of those teams has the most margin for error? You said Notre Dame doesn't. I think we're all with you in accordance that they pick up their third loss. They're likely out. So between Texas and Oklahoma, who has the most leeway?
I would say Texas, only because beyond Alabama, losing to Alabama, what do you have to make up for it? You've got to win against Michigan. You don't have the head-to-head against Texas. There's more questions about the Sooners. If Texas beats one of those top 5 teams, I don't care which one it is, you're looking at a pretty strong 3-loss resume. Losing on the road in the opener to Ohio State's not going to keep you out. Losing to Florida's not good. That's still there, but I don't see it as much of an issue if you've got that resume. However, a 3-loss Texas to me is like 3-loss Alabama last year. Where they're in the top 12, but they're out of the playoff.
It seems like that's how it would fall, because that was going to be one of my questions. Everyone in the chat right now is talking about that. We have Longhorn Nation Real in the YouTube chat. Standing up for Texas, and I think as a 3-loss team, wouldn't it make – we always talk about what have you done for me lately. That win against Texas A&M, and if they lose to Georgia, let's say a 3-point loss, and then they end up beating Texas A&M towards the end of the season. Let's just say Texas A&M finds a way, right, to – end up going to the second spot when they beat them. How much of a difference does that make?
For the Aggies? If they
for Texas.
For Texas, if they were to beat them? I don't know that it makes that much of a difference. I mean, you're talking about being a top 5 team, right, regardless of where the Aggies are.
Of 2 or 3? Okay.
Right, I think. But, the reality is Texas is such a different team if it is able to pull that off. I feel like incremental strides define the Longhorns this year.
Right.
You got to put it all together and have your best day to beat these teams that we're talking about. Because, I mean, if you look at them on film, and you can answer this better than me, there's probably a gap between them that's reflective of the rankings.
I would totally agree with that, Heather. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because now I don't have to be the guy that says it. But, yeah, I would agree. And when you watch the film of games like Kentucky, right, and Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, and more importantly for Vanderbilt, just the fourth quarter alone, you have concerns overall about just, I guess, the grittiness of this football team, right? And Sarkisian's been saying it all year, right? Just the youth of this football team. And when you're young, hey, it's exciting, it's fun, but to stack wins and be consistent is very difficult. So that's really, I think, the biggest thing for this team going forward is just that establishment of experience in the back half of the season.
It's one of the things why I love the formation of this 12-team playoff. I don't want to go any further because we're already talking about, a couple teams maybe not so deserving of being in the field, but there are so many questions left to be answered in this season. One thing is for certain. The ACC continues to hurt itself any chance that it possibly can this season.
I love her reaction to it.
We're talking about the ACC for all the wrong reasons.
I know we are. And
we are.
You know what? The ACC has 6 losses outside of teams in the Power 4, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC have 8 combined between the 3 conferences
Good
this year.
nugget.
So the chaos in the
boy, Sammy.
ACC has left some to question whether or not the conference champion winner will even be in the field. We'll get to that hypothetical in just a second.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you, Heather, about Miami, who is going to need a lot of help just to reach the ACC title game. They're in the bracket right now, ahead of, let's say, a Georgia Tech, who, according to our All-State player predictor, has the best odds-on chance to get to the ACC title game. Can you explain to people why they are seeing Miami in the bracket and not Georgia Tech right now?
No, because in my projection and my bracket on ESPN.com, I have Georgia Tech because Miami has a 6% chance to reach the ACC
That high? Wow.
championship
Okay.
game.
Right.
6%. So the reason it's in ESPN's bracket is because it's the highest ranked ACC team. But for me, it should be the projected conference champion.
That's very logical.
And
yes.
at the moment, it would be Georgia Tech. And don't forget, Georgia Tech still has a chance to beat Georgia.
That's right.
I feel like people are just forgetting about
Yes,
Georgia
I know.
Tech.
I mean, like, don't get me started about this. Like, I'm so.
No, let's get started.
Go,
Well,
go.
I'm disappointed, right? Because I just, you heard me last week, right? It's like, why are we discounting Georgia Tech so soon, so quickly after a tough loss to NC State, right? The same team that beat the other team that was in consideration for the top of the ACC. And then Miami, of course, right? Hey, yes, they have some good wins, but there is something about them more recently as you watch them where it's touch and go. There's not a lot of confidence. I feel like they're trying to fill in gaps of like, yo, we're good, man. We're good. We feel great. We're
throwing touchdowns to linemen.
Man, yeah, we can do it all, but there's something behind all of that confidence that I'm a little bit scared of as the season has progressed. And yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I really am. And also because I'm just, I got a little man crush on that quarterback and that football
King,
team
baby.
and Brent Key and how they operate. So yeah, I'm going to be really excited about that Georgia Tech matchup.
So this week, Miami beat Syracuse, right?
Yep, they did.
Pretty good.
Syracuse is,
They're abysmal. They're really bad.
Yeah.
I was teeing you up to be the bad guy there. Right. So to me, I'm not sure why that justifies the catapult, other than the fact that Louisville and Virginia have just played their way out of this whole conversation of respect.
Was it an
Don't get me started on Louisville.
Was it an overcorrection for them for last week, just maybe having them drop so far behind and seeing the disparity between them and Notre Dame?
I think a little bit of that might have factored into it, but they also talked last week about Miami being inconsistent. Mac Rose, the committee chair, said a week ago today, Miami has to be more consistent. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Syracuse is doing it for you?
Yeah.
And then he went on to say we have a lot of respect for Miami and what they do as a team. If they can just bring it together,
Listen,
Well,
these
I think
things
he's
change
getting-
on a week-by-week basis. 6-7.
I think he's definitely getting lost, I think, in that when you do put on the film, you do see a lot of NFL football players on Miami's roster, right? The problem is that I just don't see like the overall team chemistry getting better as the season has progressed, where it's the opposite with a team like Texas who would like, hey, start off slow, but like you could see there is something brewing and getting better each and every week.
I think the bottom line is this. Miami fans, don't get too excited because of where Miami was today.
Yeah.
Because it's deceiving. It's deceiving in the bracket. It's deceiving in the ranking. That's not to say they can't get in this thing.
Right.
But they need a lot of chaos above them, and they need a lot of chaos just to get into the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
It's still a long shot.
Okay, very good. I promised that we would get to the ACC chaos scenario. We will. But the hypothetical there is like having a 8-4 Duke go to the ACC title game, win it, be 9-4, and then put them up against a potential other group of 5 team, say a James Madison at 12-1. Highly unlikely that gets to fruition. We can talk about that later on our All-State playoff predictor.
That'd be awesome, though.
Just a quick thought on that. I mean, it is very unlikely that actually happens, that the ACC champion gets left out.
Remember, in that scenario, though, Duke could have a chance to beat a Georgia Tech team that just beat Georgia, enhance their resume. Last year, there was a 3-loss ACC team. And is it really different for a 4-loss? Well, Duke lost to UConn, for the love of God.
Don't get this guy started. That's his team.
Big UConn fan.
Best season in a while for Jim Mora. Yeah, no, it's very good. And I think that, again, you're also assuming that Georgia Tech is the team that they're playing in the ACC title game. Like, let's say it's an SMU or somebody that maybe doesn't have that resume. Again, it's like it's chaotic, but it's certainly all.
May I ask just your theory on Pitt let's just say for whatever reason, this might not happen, of course, because we've heard Pat Narduzzi and how he speaks about this game this weekend. But like, let's just say for whatever reason they do win this weekend against Notre Dame. The repercussions of that game in your eyes?
Well, for one, Notre Dame's out.
Right.
But two, the ACC respectability level goes up a couple of notches.
Okay.
does,
It's huge for the conference.
Right,
Perception-wise,
It's okay that Pitt is playing the best ball in the ACC.
Right.
Everybody can embrace that for a second.
It's got to be somebody. Somebody's got to play the
They got
best
a good
ball.
quarterback. It's all
Yeah.
right. You know, give credit where it's due. They run the table. I mean, Pitt's the X factor in the college football playoff right
They
now.
are. Yeah.
What's their percentage? I got to take a look.
Yeah,
over
go check it
here.
out. Check it out.
If Pitt ends up winning out, we're going to go to the All-State playoff predictor over here. What are their chances? All right, so Pitt's over here. They have their next game against Notre Dame. Right now, we're sitting at 7%. If they end up winning out, they jump up to 93%, the likelihood of them making the college football playoff. I think that definitely brings up some chaos, but then you look at the other teams. Miami goes to 0, Georgia Tech 0, all right?
Wow.
SMU. So does this mean we end up in a one-bid situation if Pitt ends up winning out?
I think it's a one-bid situation the
Regardless.
way we sit here
Yeah.
right this skinny minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, it could be Pitt. It doesn't matter as long as Pitt is one of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, and I think it would be. And back to the JMU thing, to your point,
Yeah.
JMU's strength of schedule is 115th in the country.
Who's pretty good? Is it Old Dominion? Is that their best? They lost to Louisville, right? That's
they
their
lost
only
to
loss.
a Louisville team that just dropped
That's-
in the ranking.
All right, enough about Louisville, guys. Come on, let's go.
No.
Everything's fine.
All right.
The world's burning, but everything's fine.
We're bringing up JMU, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at
Yeah.
their odds right now. They're sitting at 34% to make the playoffs, makes conference championship 95%. Now, if they win out, how far does that jump out? Come on. There we go. 67%. I mean, it's not guaranteed D+. I'll take a D+. I know C's get degrees, but D+ isn't bad.
But that's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that independent of other
That's
results?
correct. Yeah, that's what I was just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
including what
I'm
happens.
here
Damn
to
it,
check the
Heather.
computers.
Just play along.
The computers do things that we just follow sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
We really appreciate your insight as always, HD, and thank you so much for joining us.